So I am Emily, and I'm talking with Gareth over at Studio 3 about the LASER program. Gareth, could you tell us a little bit more about the LASER program?
Absolutely. The LASER program, in essence, stands for Low Arousal Supporting Educational Resilience. And the whole development of the program was based on some of the stuff that Professor Andy McDonald, the CEO of Studio 3, did on low arousal approaches. And joining that with some of the stuff that I've done in the 25 years I've spent in schools, particularly our saturation model about how we change cultures within settings. And the focus really is about how we make the educational environment and the people within it, the adults within it, more resilient, rather than parking the issue within the child and trying to enforce change within the child. So we look at environmental factors, we look at stress particularly, and we look about the experience of young people over their whole day. And in doing that, a real core part is what we call co-production, which is working strongly with families and keeping the young person central to our outcomes, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. So in your model, can you tell me a little bit more about how you approach the teachers, how you pull them in? Is it a 2-day program? Do you have contact with them after the fact, or is it you teach the skills and you kind of just let them fly from there?
So the whole idea of the program really is that we have a 2-day input, and then we provide ongoing coaching and support to try and help people as they're implementing some of the strategies and the systems that we'll talk about in the training. I feel very strongly, having attended a lot of training as a professional myself in schools, that when you just get one input and then people expect everybody to implement things the same, where every school setting, every young person, every dynamic is different, that notion of personalization is essential within this. Our programs now have been moved on to online delivery because of the recent pandemic that's hit the globe, and we deliver things slightly differently within that, but there are still ongoing coaching sessions available for people who want to really try and embed that change, and we're delighted to be able to offer one for yourselves, timed for the US time zones, on the 13th, 14th, 20th and 21st of January, and the 4 sessions there are spread over 4 separate days, to give the combined amount that we would do in 2 days normally, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And if you can elaborate and just almost speak to I think the pushback that we have a lot is that restraint is necessary to keep children and staff safe within the schools. I know the LASER program is a more proactive approach and it's human-centered, but how specifically does it work to reduce restraint and seclusion in schools?
I think at the end of the day, people don't know what they don't know. So actually, if you haven't been exposed to or been aware of any alternatives, you actually use what you've been trained in or the approaches that you've been part of for your life or your professional career. So we start very much by looking at the stress of the people that are working with the young people, parents and carers, but also the professional staff. It's really important we understand that if we can't get our own stress better managed, reduce the stresses whilst actively teaching coping responses and change that balance, actually, if we're highly stressed and highly aroused all the time, we're just passing that on to others. So we have to start with ourselves, and then we have to look at the environment and the structures, and then we have to work cohesively with families, truly involving the young people in the decision-making process. So we reduce the stresses that we're placing on people, and we actively teach coping responses that allow individuals then to flourish. And the whole premise really of the LASER approach is that we have this aim of eliminating restraint and seclusion as part of how we embed change. However, I think it's really important to understand these sort of things don't happen overnight. And which is why ongoing coaching and support and that real understanding of the personalized nature of individuals in different countries, different educational settings, etc., is absolutely vital, which is why working jointly with families is a real core part to achieving the outcomes of the LASER program.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm really looking forward to the training in January.
We're delighted to be able to offer it, and thank you for your help in making these arrangements so that we can do that. And we hope from the course in January there may be other people that would like a discussion about how we could start changing cultures and improving outcomes for everybody involved in that in the years ahead.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.